Happy 2021, everyone. I am so excited to be back with more episodes of Pitchin' It with Ben. In the first episode of this year, I am joined by LPGA Tour member Kelly Tan. We talk about her career to this point, her great year in 2020, which included getting into contention at a major championship at the KPMG Women's PGA, what she's looking forward to this year, including the Olympics, and so much more. And if you're new to this podcast, welcome. And if you've listened to previous episodes before, thanks for coming back. If you haven't already, please like, rate, comment, subscribe, and share. All right, I am joined today by going into your 8th year as a professional, Kelly Tan, LPGA Tour member. Kelly, how are you doing?
Well, thanks for having me on this podcast here. And I'm doing great. I flew back to Malaysia and I'm currently quarantining in Kuala Lumpur. So it's day 5 and I get out in a couple days. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit before we started, and you were talking about how many steps you were getting. You like what, 500 in a day? I'm impressed you could get that high just in your room.
Well, because I've been working out, I try to do a little something because the past few days I've literally been trying to, keep myself occupied, but I also don't want to lay in bed and watch Netflix all day. And I want to make sure that I'm doing something and keep my body moving because I'm used to being active out, and about. So, I try to work out an hour a day and swing some clubs here and there. And yeah, that's where I get my 500 steps from.
How important is it to stay active though? Because you're a golfer, like you're a professional golfer, it's your job. You're used to walking, at the minimum, walking a lot. 18 holes a day. Maybe in the off season, when you're practicing, you play more than 18 holes. Like,
right.
Trying to maintain some sort of balance. Is that for you really want to stay like keep your fitness level up a little bit, or are you just trying to not drive yourself crazy watching Netflix all day?
Well, for sure. Especially during the off season, right? Like during quarantine, I think I'm actually way more disciplined in quarantine because I know like I'm not doing anything. So I have to put myself at work. So I think that's a good part, but I think it's important for us, especially professional athlete. A lot of people think that, golfers are just out on the course and strolling and trying to find their ball and hit. And there's not much, athleticism in it other than swinging the golf club and hitting the ball. But, when you're playing professional golf and you're, playing 25 events to 30 events a year, you're traveling all the time, you're trying to acclimatize your body to different time zones and flying and, it's just a lot. And, we're not only playing Thursday to Sunday. And a lot of people think, our life is just playing golf in the weekend. But really, there's that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday where you prep yourself into the week, and whether it is trying to know the course or trying to get your body ready and that kind of stuff that I feel like a lot of people don't know, that's not in the game itself. Like fans, they just watch TV and watch you pick up that trophy on Sunday, but actually there's a lot of work that goes into it. And, working out, it's definitely a big part of it, or at least for me, for my career. So I try to stay active and I try to stay healthy and fit. Not necessarily saying that I could go out and now start running, 50 miles. And I physically won't be able to do that. But, I try to think that I'm staying in good shape, or at least whatever that my trainer is trying to tell me to do, I could do without, feeling like I'm going to pass out.
Right. Well, you talk about like the fans, like the average fan watching, right? Or a lot of times people are watching golf, they also play golf. And
Right.
what they think about golf is golf cart, drinking some beers, and they're like it's not that. Like, these aren't really athletes. And I do think perspective might be changing on that a little bit. But for the most part, I still feel like that's the image golf gets from like the
Right.
casual observer.
Right.
And it really is, it's so much more than that. And I feel, okay, so for you, on a typical LPGA week, so this is your 8th year, you turned professional in 2014,
Right.
going into your 8th year as a professional.
Mm-hmm.
What is a typical week for you, like a tournament week? Does it vary, or do you have a pretty consistent routine now?
I have a pretty consistent routine now. I mean, the first couple years, I remember I was trying to, figure out whether I have an energy to, even come back and then still go work out, But now, um, as a rookie, obviously it's harder because you don't know the course and you really want to get, maybe 32 looks of 18 and 18 holes on Monday, Tuesday, and then there's pro on Wednesday. So you kind of get tired after your practice. But now that I'm entering my 8th year, even the last couple of years, I feel more relaxed, not feeling like I have to go play 18 on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Instead, I can probably take Monday off and just have a very light practice. And usually Monday, I travel to the event and then you get check in, whatever. With now COVID, you got to go get tested and, just kind of settle down and try and do a little light workout on Monday for me and, go to the course and hit some balls, or sometimes I take Monday off. And Tuesday is usually my heavier work day where I'll go play 18 early in the morning, and then after lunch I'll do a little light practice, hit some balls and putt, chip and putt, stuff like that, and then I'll come back to the hotel, and it's usually like 3 or 4 o'clock. And then sometimes, most of the time, I feel tired and don't feel like I want to go work out. So I try to keep myself motivated, whether it is, call my trainer so that he could watch me work out. So I feel like, I have a place to be, and, people, somebody is waiting for me. So I have to go do that. But there's some days where I'm just like, I'm up at 4 a.m. and I want to go for a run right away. So it varies. So that's kind of like my Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday depends on if I'm in the pro-am. If I'm not in the pro-am, sometimes I'll go play E9, like a quick 9 before the pro-am. So it could be like 6:30 in the morning. I'm on the first tee, just play 9 and do a super light practice. And I'm usually back at the, whether Airbnb or hotel by lunch. And, it's always easy for me to throw a little light workout in on Wednesday because, I have pretty much all afternoon. And Thursday to Sunday is usually game day, and I don't work out during game day just because I'm trying to conserve my energy and just try to, maybe I do some little stretching here and there in the room, but not much.
Yeah. Are you a morning afternoon or afternoon morning? Which one do you prefer? Like
Me,
starting, yeah.
like for Thursday and Friday tea
Thursday,
time.
Friday, yeah.
Oh, I definitely like the late early,
Yeah.
so I can just go and go.
I feel like, yeah. I feel like that's probably most people's answer, right?
Yeah.
With the LPGA, when I first started covering the LPGA, going to events and things, it always amazed me how late some of the pro-ams go.
Yeah.
Especially the Wednesday pro-ams. I'm like, oh, and I guess, and at first I was like, oh my goodness, I hope these players don't have morning tee times on Thursday. I think they do a pretty good job of making sure those later pro-am times have the afternoon tee times on Thursday, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Like, I
Yeah.
just remember, like, in 2017, it was my first year out on the LPGA, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really hope that they don't, like, that's so unfair. It's like, it's dark. They're
Yeah.
finishing in the
No,
dark, but
LPGA does a pretty good job of, just making sure the player have enough rest and, you know, instead of, someone that finished late on Wednesday and they have to go out first thing on Thursday. So they do take that into consideration and make that tea time for us. So, which is nice.
yeah. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about something at the beginning of this. I'd say
What?
congratulations. Congratulations on your engagement.
Oh, thank
Oh
you.
my goodness. Well, and this, it's so cool though. So I don't know the details of it. You don't have to go into a lot of details if you don't want to, but at Pebble Beach, right? This is
Right.
like
Well,
how.
I'm more than happy to share, obviously. Like you said, when you were asking what have you been doing the past few days during quarantine, I've actually been pretty busy trying to put, my guest list together, looking up at places, because the wedding is going to be in Malaysia. And I do have to go back to the US on the 15th of February. So I get out on the 12th, and I literally have a month to figure out stuff. And my fiance is not here because he can't come into Malaysia with, all the restriction and stuff. So I kind of have to take him on virtual tour. But yes, I have been busy, and yes, it has been exciting, and he couldn't have done it at a better spot. I've never been to Pebble, so that was my first time. So I thought it was really cool.
Wow. How how much better can that experience be? Pebble. I was going to ask if you played Pebble Beach before.
No, it was my
Nope.
first time.
Were you surprised?
I was 100% surprised, which I I'm not a big good surprise person, and I always think that I will always catch it. I've always told him, I'm like, there's no way you could surprise me, so just quit, trying. I mean, he's never really tried to surprise me with anything like whether it's birthday party, whatever. I've always told him, like, okay, I want to know, like, I want to do whatever, I want to do the planning. But obviously this is something special that, he really did a good job of, keeping everything away from me, because when he was planning all this, he was with me every single day, which I have no idea how he does it, but he did well.
Well, I want to say congratulations, and that's really exciting. I wish you guys both lots of happiness and a great life together.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
So, we'll go back to 2020. Okay, so the 2020 LPGA
Okay.
Tour season, which was a good, it was a good year for you. You had, I think, let's see,
It
15
was it
events.
was the best year for me on tour. So it was yeah, it was a great year despite the pandemic and all the craziness that's gone on around the world. I was glad that I was able to turn 2020 towards the positive side for me. So I have also listened to other friends of mine that's go, I lost my job, and 2020 has been horrible, and stuff. I'm just grateful that I was able to tell my story in a positive way.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of perspective to it, but it is amazing. And I do want to give Commissioner Whan some credit, and I do want to touch on Commissioner Whan in a little bit.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
so 15 events, which is definitely not a normal LPGA Tour season. But
Mm.
on the other hand, with the pandemic going on, it's really amazing you guys even got to 15 events. And so in those 15 events, you had 6 top 25s. When you reflect on the year as a whole, you did a little bit. When you reflect on the year as a whole, like you and how you played, what are some things that come
Mhm.
to mind?
I thought I played really well. Obviously, I was pretty happy with my year. And also, I also felt like, well, I look at some events and I go, that events I really could have done a lot better. So, I mean, there's always I could have and I should have. But again, I'm still grateful that I was able to play 15 events. And, like you said, I have 6 top 25. Thank you for the stats. And no, it was just great that I was able to perform, because in the beginning of July, I really didn't know how many events I was going to get into. I All I knew was I was in the 2 Toledo events, and I knew I have to play my way into the British, and I knew I have to play my way into the Scottish. So at that time, everything was in the air, where I don't know, how many events really I was going to get into. So the fact that I went out and finished 9th and 11th, which got me into the British and Scottish, and that there pretty much changes my year. Which it's amazing. I If you would have told me, on July 1st or whenever we restart, that at the end of the year you're gonna finish 37th on the CME Globe, and you're gonna jump 250 spots on the world ranking, I would probably go. I think that's a little too much to ask for, but then now that, the year is finished, I look back and I go, I know I could have really done a lot better, but you know what? I'm still happy with how the year went, and it's good to see that there's room for improvement for next year. So I already look for this year, and I already am looking forward to the 2021 season.
Yeah, so I want to throw another stat at you because I thought this was very interesting. So 2019, you played on the Symetra Tour. You picked up your first professional victory, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in 17 events on the Symetra Tour, 141 birdies. And then this last year in 2020, in those 15 events, you had 177 birdies. 2 less events. Granted, Symetra, there are lots of 3-day events, so there's less hurdles. But still, you ended up finishing 17th on tour in birdies. So is there something that you actively changed in your game? Were you playing more aggressively? Is your putting?
Wait, so 17th? Which tour?
On the LPGA Tour in 2020.
Oh, really? In 2020, I finished 17th ranked for birdies?
Correct.
Damn, that's cool. Thank you, stats man.
You're welcome.
Well, how do I reflect this? Obviously, I don't know if you know too much about my career. I had a couple years where I call it my slump year, where I really didn't feel like I was going anywhere, and everything seems like it was tough, and I feel like I was going down this spiral. It's good to see that I turned the ship around and had a really good 2020, but I give a lot of credit to my team. My fiance is a big part of my team. He's been my best friend. He's caddy for me here and there. He's always been my mentor and my biggest supporter, right by my side with my parents. And and next to that was my coach, Gary Gilchrist. I worked with Gary for 3 years. I went and saw him right when I felt like I was in that slump. And back then he was, he still is, but at that time he was probably at the top of his career, where he was coaching all these world number ones and, all this, girls that's on tour. And I felt that, really, do I want to go see Gary? Because he probably really wouldn't give a crap about me, because I'm struggling and he's coaching these girls that's winning every week. That, what makes him want to see me, right? But I think what changes was when I got to meet him, and I went down to Florida and told him that, I booked a 3-hour lesson with him, put it that way. And that 3-hour lesson changed my perspective about how I see him. And obviously, we've clicked ever since, and, went through a couple of really tough years on tour and had to go back to Q school and didn't get my card, and had to go back to Symetra Tour, which, it's really hard for me at the time. And, that's when you start questioning yourself, why are you here? And are you really good enough? Or is this it? But people around me, my parents, my family, my fiance, my coach, they're there for me, and they're there to tell me that I was good enough, and they're there to, just keep reminding me that, I got to where I am, not because of luck, or not, it's not a fluke. You obviously got to where you are with what you have. So obviously your skill can be better, and your attitude and your, things around you can be better. But I'm just grateful that, just my people around me, that I was associate with, have always believed in me. And also, last but not least, my sponsors, that, they could have easily said, we don't want to sponsor you anymore. We don't think you could do this. And, but, they never once said anything like that to me. It's almost like if I come back and I had a bad year, I almost felt that I was way more welcome to them than when I have a good year, So I'm just grateful that I have people like this around me, and be able to do what I did this year, and hopefully there's more in store in the next few years.
Yeah, I do want to throw. I'm not normally the stats guy, but I want to throw one more stat at you. Okay, so in 2017, I think that's the last year, LPGA season, like full LPGA season that you had before you had some injuries. 2018, then going to Symetra in 2019, then back on LPGA in 2020. So in 20 events in 2017, you were ranked 117th, not 17th, 117th in birdies with 157. So you had 3 more events played, 20 less birdies, and then in 2020 you jumped up 100 spots from 27. So there's obviously a lot more stats. Stats can go all sorts of different ways, but that's really cool that there is something that has started to click. And
Mm-hmm.
speaking of clicking, though, so going to the 2020 KPMG Women's PGA. So I want to hear, like, I think maybe in some ways a little tougher on the weekend, but at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
you were right there. So you start out -3, 67 on Thursday at Ronimink Golf Club, which going to that week, like as a seeing what the weather conditions are going to be, and what the golf course that it is, like -3 didn't quite seem like a score that was going to be met by very many
Yeah.
players.
Yeah, I remember playing the practice round there, and I just go, you know what? It's a major. Obviously, it's gonna be hard, and they did set it up really long during the practice round, which I think it scared a lot of girls, and it scared me because I had to hit like some 5 woods into the par fours, and I'm like, there's just no way. Like, how is this gonna be? Like, and the weather was gonna be super cold on Thursday and Friday, and I'm like, we're not gonna be able to reach these par fours. But then I also think about, well, it's PG of America. They're not gonna be stupid and set it up hard that makes people hit like tough shots. Like, I mean, I get it's a major. So I did kind of have some sort of mental preparation that, just don't let the, practice round psych you out. Just, obviously everyone's gonna play the same course. And um it's kind of funny to hear a few like the girls that, kind of put up some negative comments before before the tournament start, because it kind of like, to me it's like, oh, that's great. Well, mentally she's already not there. That's how I look at that week. And I go, you know what, if I can just stay in it, take the medicines when I have to, keep giving myself chances. That course, you just have to be below the hole. Even though if you're 40 feet away, it's better than you're 6 feet above the hole. So I just took those keys going into the weekday. I mean, the Thursday and Friday, and I also watched Gary Player had an interview. I think PGA of America interviewed him, or somebody from the LPGA interviewed him about how to play Aronimic, or how to win the KPMG championship this year. And all Gary said was exactly that: keep giving yourself chances, stay below the hole, even though it's 40 feet, practice lag putting, and stay patient. So I think I did that really well. Obviously, the first couple days, and the weekend I was just a little off. But I've also never been in that position in my career, which I think it's a big learning curve for me. So yeah, it was a fun week, and I didn't know that. I'm gonna throw you one stat, because I learned this from the media from Malaysia, and apparently no Malaysian has ever finished top 13th or better at a major championship, men or women. So I thought that
Ooh,
was a cool week for me. Now that I
yes.
thought about
Congratulations. Yes, the start of that means every step of the way till you get to that win, you're going to be setting a new record.
it. Well, hopefully.
Well, okay, so you did mention like you've never been in that position before. So you go into the weekend in the
Mm-hmm.
penultimate group. So you're playing in the second to last group. So you're
Mm-hmm.
when you're in that position, especially at a major, there's a few things that tend to happen, like more media is following, you have more cameras following you, there's also the pressure of being near the top at a major. What were some of the feelings that you remember going through at that time?
I think for me, I honestly didn't feel overly pressured because of we didn't have any crowds. There is more camera crews following us, and I thought the coolest part for me was Bones, Phil's ex caddy, was following
Yeah,
my
yeah.
group. So I was like the coolest thing, like because I've always watched him on TV and commentate or caddy, but I thought it was cool because me and my caddy were joking. We're like, "Look, we're flashing number at Bones." Like, it was cool. I don't know. I really enjoyed where I put myself in that position that weekend. I didn't really feel overly pressured or nervous. I really did enjoy it myself, and this is something that I've always dreamed about. You wanna play under that gun, and you want the camera crew to follow you, and you want to be in the top of the leaderboard. And yeah, I had a lot of fun that weekend, and it's something that I'll never forget. And I've also learned a lot about myself.
Yeah, what are some of those lessons that you've learned or that you learned during
Uh,
that week?
yeah, well, as I learned that because I got to play with Carlota and Anna Nordquist that day on Saturday, and I just feel like it's another Saturday stroll for them. I just feel like because they've been there. Um, for me, I was more like, oh my god, like I was more like distracted by this is so cool. Like, it's my first time being in this position, and I just look back at it now, and I probably could have done a better job of not saying be more concentrate or have more concentrate or be more focused, but how do I say, instead of really not really worrying about how cool the situation is, or yeah, I think I was more mesmerized by the Bones is following my group, and then this is cool that I'm at a major and I'm at the top of the leaderboard and whatnot. But other than that, I really had a fun week though. I really did enjoy myself.
Yeah. So it seems like I'm trying to think of what like in other sports it I remember like so a rookie, for instance, whenever you're a rookie, maybe you think back to whenever you were a rookie and maybe there's some actually yeah, like whenever you were a rookie, were there any players that you initially saw that like you grown up watching and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's this player on the driving range. Like I'm actually here. I'm no longer an amateur. Like I'm here playing with the best in the world." Like a similar situation. I think there's like a learning curve through it all, and you can't learn it until you experience it. Like that's the only way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, growing up, like you said, I've always watched Golf Channel. I don't really remember growing up watching cartoons because all I did is I want to watch golf. So I've always watched girls, playing like people like Paula Creamer and people like Julian Stir, people like Yanni when I was like about probably 15. I think she was at the peak of her career. And today we're best friends. So I think things like that, it's just so cool because it's not that I've never thought of one day I would be playing against them or with them, but it's always been a dream. And now that you're here, you kind of forget about, wait a minute, I really actually did dream about playing on the LPGA Tour, and now we're actually best friends. We actually hang out. We actually go for dinners. So that part of it, and I think it's super cool. And you know for like little girls that's watching this, maybe one day they would think about that like that. Just when I was growing up, I definitely didn't think like, okay, when I made it to the LPGA Tour, she's gonna be my best friend. Like you just
Yeah.
so.
Do you remember whenever you were a rookie? Do you remember any
Mhm.
players that really not necessarily took you under their wing, but like maybe gave you some advice, or are you the type of person that would ask questions, or did you just kind of go about
Yeah.
your
No, I would ask question. I remember talking to Catherine Kirk a lot about how I feel, like, whether if I do feel lost, I'll be like, oh, like, what do I do? Like, I don't feel good. Like, I just missed the cut like 4 rounds, 4 weeks in a row. Like, I did reach out to Catherine, and I talked, obviously a lot to Yanni, and she's been really a mentor to me. And no, it was super helpful to have friends like that. Obviously, people that have done it before, and other than people that's been at the top, right? So, I was really grateful for those friendship. And I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have those girls around me.
Yeah. Is there, I've talked to several rookies. It's something every year I try to talk to the rookies, and especially, I mean, all of them if I can, but especially some of the rookies that aren't, like, usually there's a couple players that come in, they're like really well known, like,
Right.
they're going to be really good. I try to talk to some of the rookies that are good, a little less known. It's like, who are you? Because
Right.
everyone has really great stories. But
Right.
with your rookie year, there
Uh-huh.
comes, I'm doing air quotes, but rookie mistakes. Do you
Right.
remember like one of your rookie mistakes
Oh,
or
yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, because I came out, I'm not like, I'm not a superstar right away. So I don't have a manager, right? So I had to kind of manage my own stuff, book my flights and stuff by myself. And I remember it was I think it was Dallas. We played Dallas. I try to remember where we go after, but anyways, we got to Dallas. I got to Dallas. I went to my hotel, and the lady's like, "Nope, you're not in our reservation. We don't have your name." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I pull out this thick diary that I wrote everything down for, and I was like, "Yeah, right here. I booked my room," and she's like, "Yeah, but it's like May, not April." I'm like, "Oh shit." So I'm like, and then the worst part was the hotel was fully booked. And I'm like, "Oh my God, how unlucky am I?" Because usually they have room. So now I gotta like now go find a hotel and check into that. I ended up finding a place for the week. So there's one. And the other one is because I usually book it like 3 months out, my schedule. So like
right?
my flight. I feel like if I book one wrong, the next 3 weeks is wrong. So there was one time I booked my flight, and I booked it like a week ahead. So everything now is a week ahead. So it seems like I'm always gonna miss it. It's not like your flight is next week. So I did that too. And I learned a lot. I mean, the first one that I missed, the lady was super nice enough that she just got me on the next one. But the next couple, I had to pay my change fees and da 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 da. It was crazy.
It reminds me a little bit of, well, it's not golf related, but when I was in 5th grade, uh, we had the I-step test, standardized test, and we had to use a Scantron. Do you ever use a Scantron? I don't know, it's a piece of paper that has bubbles, and you fill in the bubbles, and then it just goes through a machine. That's how they grade it. Probably
Oh,
didn't explain that well. Anyway, it's a common like test practice, and I remember it's like the most important test of the year, and I was pretty smart. Past tense, like I'm competent now. I was pretty smart back then. Anyway, I think on the second question I accidentally like jumped it, right? So I filled in like number 3 as number 2 or number 2 as number 3. Like ended up doing that the whole test. So
mm-hmm.
failed. It's like the only failure I've ever had.
Oh,
Um
I
anyway,
know. I sometimes you feel stupid like that, but then it's like now I look back, I'm so grateful that I made those mistakes because I learned. Because I don't touch wood, I haven't made a mistake since. So
that's true. And also like
yeah,
before,
just gotta learn that way, they say.
yeah, and also when you're like by yourself too, you're doing all these things yourself. Like some
Hmm.
people, not like it's fine, but some people do walk in like with the benefit of having someone that does all that for them. But then if they
Right,
ever have a scenario they have to do it themselves, they're completely
right,
lost. You
right.
know you know exactly what to do. You're ready to go.
Well, I did have to go through, bang my head around a few times.
That's part of learning.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so let's go to this year, this upcoming year. We're in 2021 now. We're
Mm-hmm.
it's and the season is technically a little over a week away, a couple weeks away at the Diamond Resorts
Mm-hmm.
Tournament Champions, but then everyone else will start in February.
Right.
But we've already had some big news to start this year. Commissioner Whan and the LPGA announced that he will be stepping down at some point this year. And I don't know about you. I was like, I woke up on, I think it was a Wednesday morning. I was like, what? What was your reaction whenever you heard that?
It was exactly that. I thought I was dreaming. I'm like, there's no way. Like, there's no way he's leaving us, you know? But obviously he's done a lot for the LPGA, and all the girls were super grateful for him for what he's done for us in the past 11 years. He's definitely has helped the LPGA grow in many, many ways. And we definitely couldn't have done it without him. But he's such a, I got to talk to Mike, a couple times. But he's such a cool guy. Like, he's the one person that when he speaks, everyone listens. Because I don't feel like a lot of people have that power. He's such a great speaker, and I've always loved going to the LPGA meeting because I'm always so like mesmerized by his, when he talks. And I always go like, he's such a good speaker. Not to say he's a great, role model, commissioner, everything else. He's a super nice guy, super down to earth. I remember when I won my first Symmetra event at Florida, he tweeted out to me and said congratulations to me, which I in my head was like, okay, it's the LPGA commissioner, why would he care? But he do care. He just do little things like that, just it touches my heart, and I'm sure a lot of other girls' heart, that it just makes us think like, he do make us feel like we're important. He do make us feel like we are his player, and it's just cool that way. But yes, I was very surprised because it was like 2 a.m. my time here, and I was jet lagging, so I woke up, I'm like, what? And I'm like, no, I'm dreaming. But then I was like, no way. I read all this news, and I'm just like, it's sad, but at the same time, I'm happy for him. He's probably, I don't know, gonna retire, I hope. But yeah, I was great. I was grateful that I got to talk to him though at CME. So I don't know. I don't know when our next commissioner is coming in, or when he's really leaving, but I hope to see him again before he really leaves, to say goodbye and thank you.
Yeah, because that's something too that I've spent some time with him, whether it's at press conferences or whatever the case may be. But I've also observed, I've gotten to see him in action in a lot of ways. And you're right, when he talks, like if
Mm-hmm.
you've ever gone to like to see a car salesman, like the really
Mm-hmm.
good, like there's a really good like a salesperson. There are definitely levels to it, and there's good salespeople. People that are like,
Right.
yes, I want to buy it right now. Like
Right.
maybe, but that's part of his greatness. He's able to appeal to like so many great sponsors and create these
Mm-hmm.
relationships. But I do think that I agree with you. Like one of the biggest things that he did was that there was nobody that was like, I don't think he never considered himself like above. That's how I felt. He didn't like view
Right.
himself as above everybody else. He would take
Right.
the time to talk. He really wanted to know like Kelly Tan, hey Kelly, like what are your thoughts on this? Like what
Right.
he would take the time to do that.
Right.
Um, do you have any? So you said you talked to him a couple times. Do you have any like? Is it like what are some of those conversations you had?
Um. Well, the first, I mean, I did talk to him also this year before the restart. Well, at the restart, because he was walking the course at the first Toledo event at Inverness, and I was playing like my third last hole, and we were waiting for some reason, and he was in the trees, and he was, oh, I remember there were like a slight delay where we had to hold in our spot, and he was there, so I kind of had a little chat with him, and he was like, Kelly, I really would love the LPGA Malaysian event to come back. And I kind of looked at him. I said, I think that's your job. But we just like little stuff like that, sometimes I don't feel like he knows who I am, and he would say something like, oh yeah, in Malaysia, I did this and then I'm like, yeah, I don't think you know who I am, and he does. Like he always surprised me that way. Like when we talk about stuff, it's not just about golf, but sometimes you throw like, oh yeah, your family, how are they doing? And I'm like, why do you care? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So stuff, I just feel like he's a cool guy like that genuinely cares.
Yeah, because the one thing that I've noticed, of course, I haven't worked for like a major company, but the LPGA is a big organization. There's a lot of athletes, there's staff, there's sponsor people to talk to. Like, there's a lot of people to know, and he actually, like a lot of companies, the CEO, the people in charge, like they don't know the people working the 10-hour shift during the day or whatever. Like they either don't get an opportunity or they just don't take the time. But he did that. So he really cool guy, and he will be missed. I think those are some big shoes to be filled, but it's also very thankful. I think me as someone who like covers LPGA, thankful for the opportunity to like, look, there's so many great places to go. We can go all over the US, we can go to Europe, we can go to all over Asia. Like there's opportunities that he really helps kind of push forward.
For sure.
So to get to the actual season itself, is there anything, because it's going to be pretty, like last year was the restart, everything seemed kind of compressed, is like boom, 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 boom. This year, it's as of right now, we don't know exactly, the pandemic is still alive, but as of right now, the schedule is like, once it gets going, it's a packed year. Is there anything that you're really looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to start. Like I'm scared that we're not gonna be able to start. Like with all this, like a few Asian countries just shut down the past week or two. It feels like this second or third or whatever, however many wave this is, has came back, and I just don't know. I also have that feeling of like, oh, maybe this year is gonna be like 2020. Like we don't know. Like I'm excited, but then I'm afraid of the pandemic and just everything that's just so uncertain. And I'm aware that the tour can't really say we're for sure starting. It's almost like they're gonna tell us the start date, but then we don't know really what's gonna happen till maybe a week before. So I'm excited, but then I'm nervous for that news.
Yeah. So that does create some challenges. Like how do you, okay, for instance, I don't know if you know Christina Kim at all, but I remember talking to her last year, and she, after the tour stopped, like during that break, and it was very uncertain. Remember at first, I was getting ready to go to LA the week before going to Founders Cup. Like I was getting ready to go, and then like 2 days before my flight, I was like, I just got this bad feeling, canceled it. And then like 2 days later, they ended up canceling that event, and then the event started then it was like Kia and ANA, maybe they were like took it off. It wasn't like all of them at once,
right?
So during that time, it's like, how do you prepare? Do you take some time off? Because it's been years since you took time off, like as professional golfers. Do you keep working at it? So anyway, to get more back on topic, this year, like you're saying, how will you have a plan kind of? I don't know. It feels like it'd be difficult, but how are you going to go about it? Like preparing, because you don't know if it'll really start.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it is my career. So whether or not I choose to take, next 4 weeks off when I get out of quarantine to just hang out, or just, do both. Like, I think I'm going to be able to still train and practice, because golf is just part of my life. So whether it is I'm playing on the LPGA Tour or not, I think I'm still going to be doing the same thing. So, yeah, I just feel like I'm still gonna be working out and I'm still gonna be playing golf and practicing. But the only thing that might change for me is if they do call it off, I might not go back to the States as that early, or maybe I'll go back earlier because now I can really work on my game with my coach. So I mean, I haven't really made up my mind, but I'm kind of just waiting in that, time where I'm just waiting for the LPGA to go, okay, here's what is happening and da 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 da. And then I can start planning because I do like knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, so on one hand, obviously completely okay you're still in quarantine waiting to get out because you're going back home to Malaysia. So of course you're going to enjoy that time back home, I'm sure. So it is so wild. And you mentioned you love to be prepared because you're 3 months ahead, right? That's the general rule of thumb. So if everything does go according to plan, we do have, and now my towel back here.
Huh? You need it to be updated.
I know. 2021. So in 2016, you got to represent Malaysia at the Olympics. Yeah. What do you remember about that time?
I just remember it was cool that, obviously because I was staying in the Olympic Village, that, you wake up in the morning and there's like hundreds and thousands of people are running already before the sun rises. And then, the bus is going around and like, it's just a very cool environment. And you go to this dining place, it's like bigger than Walmart. It's got food from everywhere in the world. You go to the gym, it's like Walmart. It's just like cool environments like that where, obviously growing up, I never dreamed of being an Olympian because golf was never a question to it. So it's weird, but it's also so cool that, because they say once you're an Olympian, you're always an Olympian. But I do look forward to the 2021 Olympic because I feel like now I know what's going to go on. Because when I first went there, it was like, okay, never done this because, when you go to an LPGA event, it's all you do this, you do that, you plan your thing and you just show up and go play golf. But then when you play in an Olympic, you kind of have to do it through the country and then you kind of have to book things through the country. And it's just a little different. It's not that it wasn't a fun experience. It was a super fun experience being able to hang out with my country's athlete. I think there was only like 32 of us. So it was super cool that way. And I look forward to 2021 in Tokyo because Tokyo is one of my favorite cities. So I look forward to that.
I can't imagine what that's going to be like. Like, because of how big golf, women's golf is in Japan, like in Asia as a whole, but in Japan, like in the home country, Japan, like it's so massive. And hopefully, it's so hard to think that far ahead. I just got to hope for best case scenario. Like hopefully there won't be too many like fan or people could actually be there to watch. I don't know if there's any chance of that.
Yeah,
or not,
Japanese are one of the best fans in the world. I think the fact that I've played in countries like I feel like when you go to Japan and in Korea, I would say the best fans are in Scotland, and then Japan and Korea.
I got you. I think there's I'm speculating too, like just me being an American, I guess. But like in Scotland, you have like home of golf. I feel like people like really know the game.
Right.
And then you have people like fans, I think American fans, for instance, a lot of people do know the game, but there's also a lot of people out there that are just like there.
You're just there to drink.
Exactly. Like all sports in America is just like, hey, let's go drink here instead of here. Like it's
right.
There are lots of great American fans too. I don't want to like, but there are
me too.
There are quite a few of those though. But like in the UK, Scotland, England, I feel like there's a lot of really knowledgeable fans. But then Japan and Korea, you just get the passionate, like for individuals They know they do know the players, and they're like,
they know the players, they know the game.
yeah. Do you
That's the difference, I think.
do you have any? I've talked to some other players, like they're just amazed, specifically in Korea. I just remember this example, but fans coming up and like knowing who they are, and kind of the players kind of being surprised, like what, like what you mentioned about Commissioner Whan, like, do you really know me? Like you're in another country, like wait, what? Do you have any fans that have come up to you, or any memories with fans over there?
I don't think so, but so this is funny when you brought it up, because me and my fiance were in Pebble Beach, right? So obviously we just got engaged that time, and when we were at the US Open, USGA gave out this face mask that you wear. So we obviously, when we're in Pebble, we're walking downtown and whatever. We went to like places and restaurants to pick up food, and people will come up to us and be like, "Oh my God, you're a professional golfer." And I'm like, "How do you know? I'm in my mask." And they're like, "Yeah, we know because you're wearing a USGA mask." And I'm like, "Oh my God." I think that's the only reason, like people, because I mean, I haven't won many tournaments, so people wouldn't know who I am. But the fact that they know from that, I still think that was cool. They're like, "Oh my God, can we take a picture?" I'm like, "Sure."
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I think the USGA did accomplish part of what they were hoping to do with getting the mask out there.
There
It's
you
like,
go. Uh-huh.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about a few things about you, like outside of golf? What are some things that you like to do outside of golf?
I like to a lot of my friends called me this few days and were like, "When you get out, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "First thing first, I want to eat Malaysian food." So it depends. I don't know how broad this question is. So let's say when I get off of quarantine, I want to see my friends, but there's rumors going on in Malaysia that, because I get out Tuesday, that Tuesday they're supposedly have a lockdown. So I'm not excited for that. But if that rumor's not correct, I would probably go eat street food with my friend somewhere in downtown. And then I would like to go get my hair done. I always like getting my hair done and my nails done. I like to pamper myself that way, because I feel like, I mean, obviously I like, I enjoy cooking and I enjoy shopping and whatever, but if it's gonna be just me, I do like going to get my nails done, my lashes done, go for a facial massage, and go and get my hair done. So that's some of the stuff I do on tour. Like I try to alternate it week. This week I'll go my hair done. Next week I'll go get my manicure done. The next week I'll do my pedicure. So it kind of like, so I get to have my me time, which I think is very important. But if you are asking about what are my hobbies, I
Yeah, sure.
really have enjoyed cooking since this COVID pandemic stay home kind of deal, because I didn't used to cook as much, but I've always enjoyed cooking. But the problem with me is I always didn't know what to cook, because I'm not picky with food. So I really could eat anything. So during COVID, me and my fiance, we ordered from HelloFresh. So it's cool because now I don't go to the grocery store, and I'm not touching anybody, so I can stay away from the virus. And second of all, with HelloFresh, they send me all this, direction on how to cook and what to cook. So I didn't have to stress about, okay, I have this ingredients, what do I make? So that was one of my favorite thing to do. So
I picked up cooking a little bit too.
yeah.
I feel like low key. So 2020 was pretty obviously miserable and awful in a lot of ways, but in some ways there are some like pretty cool things. I think picking up the ability. I wouldn't say I'm like a great cook, but actually having the ability to do it somewhat, like that's pretty cool. Like moving forward, just knowing that like, well, if I want to
You
cook,
can do it. Yeah.
yeah. Um, what's something about Kelly Tan that most people would not know? Like, do you have a special skill or a special talent or something?
Special skill. Huh. I don't
Other than
know if
being
I
one of the
do.
best golfers in the world.
I used to play very, very competitive volleyball growing up. Like I played for my state, almost my country, but I didn't take up that offer because my
Whoa.
dad thought I should learn golf. That's how I got into golf. But yeah, volleyball has always been, I guess that's one of my hobby too now. Uh, was a big part of my life before, prior to golfing. So I did spend a lot of time playing volleyball and traveling around the country to play. And yeah, that's sports. Let me think. Special skill. I don't know. I would say a lot of people didn't know that I'm type A, like personality. Like everything has to be like perfect. Like I have to make
Uh,
my bed every day. Like especially during quarantine, it drives me nuts because like there's no housekeeping.
ooh. Okay, so that
Yeah.
actually can relate that to golf. Now, this is kind of like
Yeah.
outside golf, but going to golf, does that go into that also? Like, do you feel like you have
Yes.
any superstitions too?
Uh, well, I don't have superstition, but you know, the last two events I had another caddy that has never worked with me at CME. So he's like, okay, I need to know if you have any superstition, and I'm like, no. So on Thursday, I was warming up, and I got to my driver, and he handed me tees. He grabbed like a bunch, and I'm like, no, just 4 tees, 4 long ones, 1 short one, and the pitch marker. And he's like, okay, that's superstition. I'm like, no, that's just what I do every day. And I'm like, and then I think about it now, I'm like, well, maybe that's superstition. I don't know if you call it superstitions or just me being type A. I only want 4 long ones and 1 short one.
You know what? I remember talking to someone else about superstitions. They're like, I'm not superstitious, like I'm just meticulous, or like I
There you
just.
go. I'm meticulous. That's the word.
But the thing about superstitions is, to me, like whether it's a superstition or not, is if you had 3 long tees and 1 short tee, how would you feel? Like, would that bother you? Like knowing that there's not
Probably
the.
out of sport because I always know I have 4. It's not like I don't turn that into, oh man, like say like if one day I broke all of them, like if for me when I have 4 long ones and 1 short one, say if I broke one on the first tee, it's not like I replenish it right away. It's just that knowing I have 4, I'm comfortable to not have to replenish for the rest of the round. Sometimes I do.
Okay, I got you. I
So
got you. You don't mark your golf. Do you mark your golf ball a special way, or?
I do. I mark a KT with a love on the side.
Oh, nice.
It's just a routine. It's not that I'm superstitious
Right.
that either. I was bring that up, but
Well, so yeah, routine. Like routine. That's it. That's routines are good. I mean, so like when you go to the range, do you have a certain number of like balls you hit for each club and go
no,
through the?
I have no
No.
idea. Up to today, I still have no idea how many balls I hit. But I think it's about 30, 40. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know though.
So it's not like I have to hit 5 drivers and then hit
No,
4
I used
this.
to be like that. I used to know I have to hit 8 drivers. But now it's just like, well, if I feel good, I'm gonna go.
That's a good mindset, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, volleyball. What position did you play?
I was a setter because I was
Ah.
short. Yeah. But I'm sneaky.
You're sneaky?
Yeah.
Still to this day?
Yep. I still think I'm sneaky.
All right. All right. Actually, setters are. I remember watching. I had friends that played volleyball in high school, and the setters were always sneaky. Like that little, like you're setting, then you set, like throughout the match, and then you throw in that one where you like sneak it over. Yeah,
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit of golf again, I guess. Sorry, but motivation. What's your motivation in golf, and then what are some of your goals, if you have any?
Well, because I'm the second ever Malaysian to make it on tour, I would like to see more Malaysian girls on tour, because I do know there's a lot of talent in Malaysia, but I feel like in Malaysia, golf is still like a business game. It's not something that they see kids playing it. Like in Canada, every kid grow up and their parents put them in hockey. But in Malaysia, every kid grow up, the parents put them in soccer or badminton. So golf is still not there yet, which I think it's such an important sport for kids to learn, because it teaches them. I'm not saying other sports don't, but golf is such a sport where your kid can really be mature quick and really learn about life quick. And it's a life skill that they can have for the rest of their life, whether it is becoming a professional or a social golfer, or use it for work. I still think that's important. So one of my goal is being able to help Malaysian kids to, whether it is they only want to play college golf, or whether it is they want to play professional golf. I'm always there for them, for if they have any question, or if they need advice, or if they need directions. I've always looked at Surrey Park and how she made career golf so famous. I mean, I hope one day I can be like that, but I feel like that's not realistic for me to think that far. So, I mean, for now, while I'm still playing on tour, I've always, if I have any, because since golf is still so small, I know pretty much everybody in the golf industry and kids. So I've always will reach out to them and be like, okay, I'm back here, and if you want to play golf or practice or have dinner or have coffee, we can always talk. And if I can be any help, I would love to be that person for them. So, yeah.
That's so cool. So being a role model is one of your your current goal. Like it's always going.
So I didn't want to use that word, because I feel like I'm not that perfect. I'm like, well, I'm not quite a role model, because I do that stupid things that people watches.
No. Role model. Like the thing is, like you said, with golf being not so big in Malaysia, you are someone that if people are playing golf in Malaysia, they probably, especially young, I bet kids, boys and girls, but especially those young girls, like, I want to be like Kelly. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So do you think that the Olympics, did you notice any difference with golf in Malaysia after the 2016 Olympics? Was there any kind of shift, like in interest, or no?
Solid. Sadly, no. Which is so sad. Like, I can't believe, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't care. It's for my country's good. So I guess someone has to speak out loud. But I just can't believe that Malaysian golf are not capitalizing the fact that golf is in Olympics, and is one of the very few sports that Malaysia's got to represent. That they are showing pretty much zero support.
Huh.
So it's sad that way, but I can't go there and be like, support me, I'm gonna be an Olympian. You know what I mean? There's only so much I can push for myself. So I pretty much have, not really put too much thought into it, but just know that I have to play well and I have to do this. I just pretty much came to myself and said, you know what, you got to do it all on your own, and hopefully one day you make it.
Well, hopefully after the even though my towel says the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, the 2021 Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah.
Hopefully you have a great time there, and Malaysia will see like, oh, this is someone we should be supporting. This is a sport
it's not that
we should be supporting.
Want them to support me.
Right.
I mean, as much as I want them to support me, it's not that all this that I'm doing is so that they want to support me. It's the fact that I want them to put more efforts into setting up a platform so there are more kids have more opportunity, whether it's more tournaments, whether it is, have more trainings or camps. It's just stuff like that you can grow the game that way.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it because I'm on tour, but it's one of my goals when I retire from playing. I want to be able to hopefully make enough money where I can just come out and do this kind of stuff where I don't have to ask people around me, where I can just do it for them. Because during my time, I felt like we had a lot of support. That's why, you know, not saying that that's why I made it, but it also has given me a chance to have, you know, a platform to practice and play and, you know, go to Asia and compete. So I get that experience. So I feel like those things are huge, but I'm not sure why that part of it is slowing down once one of the girls made it to the tour. I felt like they should invest more in other girls or boys.
Yeah. So you mentioned, I think we all know, like if you follow women's golf, you know who Sari Pak, because of what she did for Korea, and we see that impact it's had. Like, so how many great players have come from Korea, and I think it's amazing because Arya and Moria Jutanigar, they're not super deep into their careers, but they've had a pretty big impact in Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
Like Thailand is and Yanni in Taiwan. Like, by the way, the fans, I remember watching, I think I was watching on YouTube, but a tournament of Yanni playing in Taiwan, and like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the number of people out there.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So hopefully, yes, I think that if you just keep being you, playing the best that you can, being the best person you can be, and hopefully Malaysia will, you know, kind of come around and realize what could be what could possibly happen. So I hope you get that opportunity. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to finish things up, a few like rapid fire questions for you.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Not too difficult, I don't think.
Just remember before you start, English is my third language, so it might take me a while. It's not quite rapid.
Third language? Okay, wait. Let me third language, but that's okay.
So I speak Mandarin. I'm Malaysian Chinese. So growing up, my mother tongue is Mandarin. So I speak Mandarin to my parents. And being a Malaysian, I speak Malay. And then I didn't learn how to speak English till I was 12.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. So I took Spanish in school, like back in high school, and unfortunately it was always just to like get through, not to actually consume and learn. Wish I would have done things differently, but what can you do with a teenager? You know, your mind's kind of like you're not mature yet. But I've been learning Korean slowly but surely, and had some help from some people on tour. They've been very nice to help me, but see, I think about where I'm at with like Korean, for instance. I can understand a little bit. I can speak a little bit, but to go and do like a full interview in your third language is
Well, I'm what 15 years into this language, so I'm sure in a couple years you'll be dreaming in your Korean language.
Whoa, that would be pretty wild. Okay. Okay, so to get to the rapid fire questions, really basic to start. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
What superpower would you want to have if you could have one?
Oh, shoot. See, this is one of those not going to be quite rapid.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Why don't you give me choices? Then I can be real rapid.
Let's see. Invisibility, flying, like teleporting, super strength.
I would take super strength.
Super strength? So you could lead the tour in driving distance?
Pretty much.
That would be pretty nice.
I want to be Bianca P.
Oh my goodness.
She's a friend of mine, so yeah, I can say that.
I want to be like her too. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
What's your favorite season? Like spring, summer, fall, winter?
Oh, definitely summer.
Summer?
Hmm.
Doesn't it stay pretty hot in Malaysia?
Yeah, there's no season out here. I, I should have said winter because growing up there's no snow. It's rain or shine.
I remember it was
95 all day.
yeah, I remember my friend's friend is from Miami, and then she moved up to I live in Indiana, and while it was winter time, everyone's like complaining because like the snow or it'd be really cold, whatever, and she just loved it because she never experienced seasons. So
I know. Me too. My fiance is from Canada, so when I first went to Canada for Christmas, well, I guess the first year, not even Christmas, it was like November. It was like 3 feet of snow. It was like blizzarding, and like people are driving crazy, and like I just want to go outside because I'm like, this is so cool.
it's like
Because I've never seen snow growing up, right? So it's like when he come to Malaysia, it's like it's so humid, like and it's sun.
Right.
So
Do you remember the first time you saw snow in person?
yeah, I do.
What was your
It was crazy because I remember it was 2011. I just graduated from IMG Academy. I was there for a year on a scholarship, and my best friend at IMG, she's from Syracuse. So I told her I've never seen snow. So she's like, and at the time I didn't want to come back to Malaysia because I only had like 2 weeks off. And she's like, okay, well, I live in Syracuse. And I'm like, where is that? And she's like, New York. I'm like, I've always wanted to go to New York. And I've always wanted to see the balls drop, So she's like, okay, let's go. So I didn't know Syracuse is like the #1 snowing city in the United States. So I got there. It was, I didn't have enough clothes. So I didn't have like puffy coats and stuff like that. I was wearing a hoodie or something, and then we landed. I was like, I can't do this. Like I have to go buy clothes. But thank God we were about the same size, and I wore a lot of the that week. And we went to Times Square and saw the ball drop, and it was snowing, and it was fun.
Wow, you can't get a better first experience to.
I went to the #1 snowing city in the United States for my first snow, so that was cool.
Wow, and you got to see the ball drop on top of that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you someone that would rather ask for permission or ask for forgiveness later?
I would definitely ask for permission.
Ask for permission?
Because I'm the one person that I don't like lying, so I don't know why I have to seek for forgiveness.
That's good. It would be like, not that I have ever done it, but you like sneak onto a golf course and then like, oh, I didn't know that you guys were something. Never done that. I'm not calling myself out on that.
Are you not?
Never.
Good.
At my city course, maybe like, and I like, I was gonna pay after I finished, something like that. No, asking for permission is the right way to do it. At the city course, okay, the real situation is that they didn't open up until like an hour after daylight, and I was like, I want to be out on the golf course, like I want to get out there.
Yeah, that's not really wrong.
Yeah, that's okay, and I did pay. Okay. Last one. Would you rather never 3-putt or never miss a fairway?
Never 3-putt, 100%.
Good choice.
Yeah. I think if I don't 3-putt a year, I'll probably make like triple the money. Not saying that I 3-putt a lot, but
no. Oh, that's another stat that I had. Your scoring average in 2019 on Symetra Tour, 72.18. Your scoring average in 2020 on the LPGA Tour, 71.64. So that's almost half a shot better per round. 2 shots every every tournament.
Cool.
That's you save shots. That's you jump into all of a sudden, instead of being 30 something, you're 20 something in the top 15, top
Yeah,
15 to top 10? Yeah.
cool. Will you snap those and send it to me? Because
Sure.
I should probably review my 2020 season stats.
Are you do you look ahead? Like, do you have goals for the season as far as like stats, or you just go out and play?
I clearly don't look at my stats because people just tell me stuff. I do look at, like, the very, like, the driving average, and I mean the driving accuracy, the fair, like the no, not everything, but like just a few key ones. But I do like to know them. I'm definitely not that person where I go, okay, this year I'm at 71.64, and next year I want to be 70. I don't know how. I mean, sure, it would be nice if I can just do that, but I just still feel like there's so many other things that I have to work harder on to get there.
I gotcha. Kelly, I really appreciate you taking some time. I know, like, quarantine, it can be pretty interesting, but I do appreciate you taking some time to talk.
No, thank you for having me and helping me kill some time during my quarantine.
Oh, no problem. It's been a lot of fun, and I hopefully we'll be able to see each other in person at some point in 2021 at one of these great LPGA Tour stuff. So it'll be good to talk.
Sounds
good to see you then.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you for listening to episode 14 of Pitching It with Ben. If you liked what you heard, please like, rate, comment, subscribe, and share. See you in episode 15.